Osiris.
What's going on? It's Isaac here with a special bonus episode of Inappropriate Happiness. And today we are so honored to be shouting out and spreading the word about Smartwool and the Grateful Dead's new collaborative collection of apparel. And I'm here joined by my co-host, Karina Reichman, as always. Karina, how are you?
Isaac, thank you so much for kicking this off. This is unbelievably spectacular. I couldn't be happier to be talking about Smartwool and the bomb-ass limited edition spectacular Grateful Dead collection they are just dropping on us like we didn't even see it coming, let alone didn't even, now you can just go online, you can shop the drop. It's so limited. You got to get on it, people. This stuff looks spectacular, Isaac. I'm really thrilled to be here with you talking about it. And I'm not going to lie to you, we have a very special guest joining us in the room today, Isaac. This is too exciting.
I completely agree. I met this person. Her name is Annabelle Walsh at the Grateful Dead Scholars Conference last April, and she gave a presentation on the Grateful Dead and fashion, and she's here today. Hello, Annabelle.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome. We're so thrilled to have you. Annabelle, you have accolades. You are a person who thinks about Grateful Dead and fashion and the intersection of the two quite a bit.
Sure.
Would you mind telling the people a little bit
As
about
Karina
yourself,
said,
what you do, what you study?
Obsessed with
Give
all
it to
things
us
to do with
raw.
Grateful Dead and fashion and the intersection of the two. I'm currently getting my master's at Parsons School of Design, and all of my research explores some facet of Grateful Dead fashion, Deadhead style.
It's the best. That is fantastic. That's exactly why you are here in the room with the three of us today. And we're so excited to wax poetic on all things from lowbrow to highbrow and Smartwool and merino wool.
Hell yeah.
Especially, which is so exciting. It's such a pleasure to have you here, and it's so great to have somebody who studies this day in and day out joining us.
Day in and day out. Yep. I spend a little too much time thinking about this whole thing.
Well, it is kind of hard to ignore that walking in the grocery store, being at a show, wherever you may find yourself, you can find some Grateful Dead iconography if you look hard enough. It is kind of ubiquitous part of American culture at this point. And I guess I'm curious as to what led you to want to study this.
That's a good question. I am what you'd call a second generation Deadhead. So I'm the daughter of two very proud Deadheads. So I've always been involved in this world in some capacity. And growing up, my two greatest interests were fashion and the Grateful Dead. And for a long time, I viewed them as two very diametrically opposed worlds. And I was committed to finding a way to bring my two worlds together. And it just so happened that in 2015, I like to kind of think of that as this really pivotal moment in the band's history and Deadhead history. It's kind of being almost like a cultural resurgence of the Dead. And I think at that point, we started to see all of a sudden a lot of high-end brands putting out these Grateful Dead capsule collections, Grateful Dead inspired fashions, and it was like, holy shit, all of a sudden my two worlds were coming together in this really interesting and sort of perplexing way. So that's kind of where I started, and then from there I worked backwards and became a little bit more interested in understanding the nuances of Deadhead style, what goes on in the parking lot, that whole thing. But I'm still very interested in this kind of high fashion aspect too, because it's still happening, obviously.
In a big way.
In a big way, yeah.
It's so cool. And, taking it back to 2015, I would have to agree. I think we all would, what with, of course, for our listeners, GD50, Soldier Field, the 50th anniversary concert, of course, that was, absolutely monumental and enormous. And then, of course, shortly thereafter, the announcement of Dead and Company really ushered in sort of a whole new wave of fandom, including, shifting towards, younger folks in such a big way, which, of course, to us who, were born just around Jerry's death, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It definitely is an incredible thing to see more and more people get turned on to this music and turned on to this culture and sort of embrace all that comes with it, including, of course, lot culture, lot fashion, and now seeing these high-end companies do the same thing. It's really an amazingly ubiquitous sort of thing that has permeated into American culture in so many ways, and it's so great to sort of see it continue to live on and thrive and be sort of manipulated in these different ways and embraced in these different ways.
Well, I think it's cool that it was a start for you because our friend Shelley quit her job at Fare Thee Well.
Shout out to my friend Shelley, who worked so hard her entire life, was like a bomb-ass CEO at all these fashion companies, like literally like, Asics, Adidas, all like Speedo, you name it, and then went to Fare Thee Well and then was like, that's it, I'm retiring. There's no way I could work another day after this. She was, in her 50s at the time, but unbelievable stuff. And we're so glad that's, two sides of the same coin, man. Quit your job, start your job. Boom. It's all good.
So should we talk a little bit about the iconography? In this Smartwool collection, you see the dancing bears, you see Steal Your Face, there's some skeletons. These are kind of classic icons of the culture at this point, and I think they really speak volumes. I think they are like kind of eerie representations of what the Grateful Dead's music sounds like. When you see that stuff, it has a way of representing the music on a visual level that I think is very unique and strong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without a doubt, I'm a huge fan of the Grateful Dead's iconography in all of its forms. I love, the fact that the Steal Your Face has this sort of extractable bolt that can be permeated, and used in its own right. I'm such a huge fan of the two, whether they're conjoined or separate, and I feel like we should mention, the Steal Your Face, it's so interesting, and I would love to get your take on this, Annabelle, just the ways in which the Steal Your Face can be used, of course, as just a straight ahead. We know what it looks like, the red, the blue, the normal steely, of course. But the way in which people can take it and utilize it for promoting their own brand or sports team or other band cross-pollination, to take it personal. Isaac got me in 10th grade. He went to see this band, the Seven Walkers, at Sullivan Hall, which was Papa Molly,
Bill Kreutzmann,
man, a few folks up in there.
It was a good band.
It was a good band, and they were definitely, on the jam band circuit for a minute there. But they were selling what we would call, New Orleans Steal Your Face shirts, meaning Steal Your Saints. It was the New Orleans Saints logo. And to this day, am I wearing it right now? I might be. Is it under my sweater? No, I'm not. I wore it last night, quite literally. I wear it all the time. It has survived many, many years. There was actually a period of time where I thought I lost it, but it was in one of my gig bags. And I saw it 2 years later. Unbelievable. So I love that shirt, and it's just a really good sort of cross-pollination of the two things. And Isaac also got me a Steal Your Boognish shirt, the Boognish being the very iconic Ween logo as well. And the sort of melding of the two was very special for me, and that one is at my parents' house, but I love that shirt with all my heart, and I will never get rid of it. And it's just really amazing to sort of see this iconography lend itself to sort of almost a jamming with the icon that it opens up. You know what I mean? People can literally extrapolate upon this incredible image. So it's just really cool, I find.
Yeah, totally. The Steely, I think, is probably my favorite icon, maybe of all time, actually. Yeah.
Dude.
Because of its adaptability and the ways in which it can be manipulated for kind of very specific individual or personal circumstances. And I mean, it really runs the gamut in terms of the ways in which people will kind of adapt the Steely in their own ways. So you see, you know, as you said, Karina, sports teams logos or other band logos. You see kind of humorous interpretations. I saw someone the other day wearing a Steely t-shirt that had the Olive Garden logo in the center.
I love that.
So great. On Lot this summer, I purchased a t-shirt that had, it's the Steely with, it said Deadheads Against Fascism in the center. So kind of like that speaks to the spectrum of possibility with that particular symbol, that you can really interpret it and manipulate it in so many different ways.
So cool. It's an amazing thing. And when you see somebody with, you know, you name it, a Steely with the Yankees logo in it, and you see that person, you say, oh, we have two things in common, right?
Right.
We love the Grateful Dead and we love the Yankees. Cool. You know, it's just like this, you know, deeper layer there that you can, you know that you have something in common with that person, which is just really cool.
Yeah, it becomes a really interesting vehicle for in-group communication and connection building. The kind of capacity for Deadheads to recognize each other, you know, outside of a live show context, seeing a Steely, seeing a hyper-specific Steely, and as you said, having not just, you know, the love of the band in common, but then having this other thing in common. It's really cool.
Well, in the Smartwool collection, there is an excellent Steely with what appears to be a skeleton playing the guitar, relaxing on a surfboard, and it was designed by the artist Chris Benchetler, and it is on a hoodie. It I guess is the representation. It's also on a T-shirt of the Steal Your Face in this specific collection. So yes, also used for kind of original, artistic kind of interpretation.
That's so incredible. I mean, that sounds like the definition of chill.
It's definitely the definition of chill.
You know, it's so great. And in the oh, please.
I was just going to say it's great. I love that the skeleton is wearing what looks like a cowboy hat. I love that specific kind of genre of Dead t-shirts and Dead fashion, like the kind of cowboy weir stuff. I'm super into that.
So
yeah,
good.
It definitely brings out the Bob Weir side of the catalog and the
totally.
and the kind of cowboy aesthetic, and which is, I think, not so often played on, right? That we mostly see the like psychedelic Dancing Bear playfulness side of it, and also the Skull and Roses, but the cowboy stuff, I think you're right that's a particularly cool part of the Grateful Dead aesthetic, and I'm glad it's picked up on here by Smartwool, who are smart to do that.
Couldn't agree more. I think that's really great. And in the collection here, guys, we're seeing socks, we're seeing hats, we're seeing hoodies, long sleeves, t-shirts. It really runs the gamut, and it's really very cool. And, you're a second generation Deadhead. I'm sure lots of people listening are either first or second or what have you, generation Deadheads. People, holidays are coming up. There's really... ain't no time to wait. You got to do it. I feel like this is such a good gift for the Deadhead in your life. And, they're sending us some, Isaac. We're very, we're not going to lie to you. They're definitely sending us some Smartwool apparel, and we are going to be decked out around here wearing this stuff. I'm so excited to get my hands on it and just check it out. And of course, Smartwool is known for their merino wool, which, Annabelle, tell me, that's just soft as all hell.
Highest quality.
Oh,
yeah.
Just luxurious.
Luxurious, yes.
Oh, I'm literally melting thinking about it. It's fabulous. In the good way. Well, I'm really excited to get my hands on it. And it's just, again, it's such a really interesting thing how this iconography is not only, of course, Smartwool, illustrious brand. Let me tell you. Fabulous. And then... there are many other brands that we're not going to name right now that are very highbrow, that are utilizing these icons in their clothing, in their marketing, the whole nine, right? And then there's a whole other side of things. There is the lot culture. There's a guy who, shows up on lot having printed 48 t-shirts in his backyard the day before with a shitty stencil, and he sells them to you, and it's an amazing thing. I remember selling Steal Your Face stickers outside of further shows in high school.
Wow.
That was just like, it was just part of the culture, you know what I mean? Or I wanted to be a part of it, and I was like, let's go. Like, I'm going to print out a bunch of stickers and see if Deadheads will buy whatever. And they totally did, and it was just like such a thing. So it's really an interesting thing and such a sort of amazing moment in time to see how it can go from the highest of the highs and be absorbed in that way, and worn by celebrities and captured in pop culture and all these things, while also being I don't want to use the word podunk, but you know what I mean, just sort of like, a guy shows up to the lot wearing stuff that he printed that morning in his backyard. That's amazing. The way that it is malleable and accepted in both regards is fascinating to me, and it's just it's an amazing thing that Smartwool is doing it, and it's amazing that it lives on in these ways, and it continues to evolve, which is so beautiful.
Oh, yeah. People speak to the fact that groups like Dead & Company are, keeping the culture alive, and that's so true, but I also think we need to consider the ways in which these designers, these brands, or, the people on the lot are really keeping the culture alive by breathing new life into the iconography and into kind of this world of Deadhead style. It's not fixed, it's not stagnant. It continues to evolve and change over time in really interesting and compelling ways.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. It's so great. It's amazing. Do you have a favorite piece of Grateful Dead merchandise yourself?
I knew this question was coming. I like to tell people that I'm really into the esoteric lot t-shirts. So the t-shirts that are so obscure in their references that you almost can't tell that it's a Grateful Dead t-shirt.
I love
unless
that.
you have some sort of insider knowledge, so to speak. There's one that comes to mind, probably an early 90s lot t-shirt, Franklin's Tower lot t-shirt. It says, "Some come to laugh, they're passed away, some come to make it just one more day." I think those are the lyrics, right? Mm-hmm. And it's this depiction of the parking lot with all of the different Simpsons characters. And it's just a really humorous, kind of silly t-shirt. I also love the ones that have a sense of humor. That's what I love in particular about, I think you see it a lot in the post-Touch of Grey era, this kind of explosion or this proliferation of parody t-shirts that are sort of tongue-in-cheek in a way, and that are appropriating or incorporating these sort of like pop cultural symbols or characters like The Simpsons, like Calvin and Hobbes, like Charlie Brown, all of that. I love that.
That's very cool. And you're currently in the midst of a project of archiving some of this stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I am. I am working on a project right now called the Deadhead Dress Archive. It's a digital participatory archive that aims to document the dress practices and histories of Deadhead style. So I'm working with a lovely man named Adam Brown, who you know, Isaac. Mm-hmm. He's a professor of psychology at the New School for Social Research, and he's really interested in the memory component, and I'm really interested in the, obviously, fashion component, the dress component. So we're kind of bringing our two interests together in this really, I think, fascinating way, encouraging Deadheads to not only share photos of their Dead t-shirts, their pins, their hats, but also any stories that they have associated with those objects. Very open-ended in terms of what we're accepting. Pretty much anything and everything, as long as it has to do with clothing or dress. We want to see all of it.
Amazing. Dude, that's really epic. I'm not going to lie to you. I want to see this when it's, capped up.
Yeah, it is. The website is live right now.
Oh
it's
my God.
deadheaddressarchive.com. But we're in the process of trying to transfer the website to a new platform that's more conducive to building a legitimate archive. Right now it's more or less just a gallery, but we would love to eventually organize the images chronologically and incorporate search terms, just so it's more of an actual archive.
Sure.
I think that's so cool, and it kind of does service to a aspect of Deadhead culture that we have a live music archive to listen to all of the shows. We have a kind of proliferation of different YouTube accounts that kind of really try to archive as complete as possible all existing footage, and yes, we obviously need one, as I think we've done justice to on this episode, and I think anyone who is a part of this culture it understands now, if they didn't before, this real kind of tentpole of Grateful Dead culture and history too. Really, I mean, this is a kind of a historical project in a lot of ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think this history, I'm a little bit biased, but I think it deserves to be highlighted and preserved because it is so personal too. Especially, going back to the lot, that these are objects that people are making by hand, a lot of the t-shirts, right? So it's just, there are so many fascinating stories behind these objects. It's not just, the t-shirts purchased inside the show, that sort of merchandise, which is amazing too, and we want to see that as well, but really thinking about kind of the bigger picture. All the different dimensions of Grateful Dead fashion and Deadhead style, because there's just so much to it.
There's so much to it, and to throw it back to the band, it's absolutely a shocking thing. This band has been around for close to 60 years of the Grateful Dead. That is insane. With Brent era and Donna era and like we were saying, Go to Heaven era, post Touch of Grey era, like all these moments, and of course to see what happened with this band after Jerry passed on, and all the permutations of it and all of the ways that it has been kept alive, and so much of that is through the fashion, and so much of it is through the branding, the objects, the sort of ephemeral, like all those things that, we associate with the music, with the culture. It's just an incredible career and an incredible legacy. And this is such a huge part of it. It's just an amazing thing to behold that we are living in the time of, it's post Grateful Dead, but it is, we're living in it, the guys
still
are
going.
Still playing in all these different forms, and they keep it interesting, and you just get the feeling they're going to do it till they drop, and that's what Bobby said recently, didn't he? It's just an amazing thing, and, to keep the style going, and to keep the culture alive, and, as we said, kids are getting turned on to it every day and latching on to that same thing that maybe their parents did, or maybe someone's parents did, that they know, and whatever. And it's just, it's so great to see that. And it's all amazing that you are doing the archival work that it needs to be preserved in so many ways. And it's just it's going to be an amazing resource, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 100 years from now, people are going to be like, holy shit, like this is incredible. And it's such a joy to meet you and see, somebody working on something I find so compelling and interesting. And it's great to have you on.
Well,
I'm wax poetic about it.
I am, again, honored to be here. And I love talking about this stuff, clearly. And I think I bore people to death talking about it. A lot of people in my life, because I don't shut up about it. So it's great to be in a room with two other people who get it and who are similarly passionate about it.
We are fully geeked on the same shit. It is a beautiful thing. And, because of your, let's call it expertise, you are begging, beseeching, and imploring all of our listeners to go to smartwool.com and get this shit popping for the holidays. Am I right?
Oh, yes.
Yes. You heard it here first. She's a super expert. I am so excited for all this stuff, and I am, all bullshit aside, going to buy a bunch of stuff for friends and family. Because
me too.
Smartwool, dude. Merino wool. Weather's getting cold. Everybody wants some toasty socks. Come on. If they have Steely on them, what's better? This is fabulous.
Nothing
We
better.
salute them for continuing the ride in their own way, bringing their style to it, and glad to have this opportunity to collaborate with them. And thank you, Annabelle. This is so fun. I mean, I feel like I could probably talk with you both for more hours about just this, maybe we will do that at some point. I think it also kind of warrants a visual dimension that we're not exactly able to do on this podcast, but maybe at some point.
Definitely, we're gonna cross mediums to make that happen for sure. And Annabelle, as Isaac said, pleasure to have you on, and so great that Smartwool gave us the opportunity to wax poetic about this. This is so great. We love the Grateful Dead. We love the Grateful Dead fashion. Thank you, Annabelle, for being here. Isaac,
thank you.
Any parting words for the people?
Have happy holidays. I don't know. I think those are my parting words. Listen to some Grateful Dead. Check out the Smartwool collection, and we will speak to you next time.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
City kids don't walk on grass, oh no. Osiris.